How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to an episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, or Unknown Coder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. As always, if you guys do want access to the private repository, there's a link in the description down below. I'll walk you through exactly how to gain access to that. Now, that being said, let's go and hop into what we're working on today. Today, we're going to go ahead and continue working inside of our list page here. At this point, we can follow. We can also pin whenever we have some things to actually pin in here. We don't actually have a way to create list on our list page. That's what we're going to go ahead and work on today. Today we're going to go ahead and start working on being able to click on this guy, pop up a modal, and then start creating a list. So that being said, y'all, let's go and hop into the code, get to work, and we'll see where we get to today. Inside of our NeoVim here, we need to go ahead and go into our list components, and then let's go ahead and create a create list modal, and then this is going to be /create maybe list modal.tsx. We're not going to need a CSS for this because we're just going to be using the bottomless modal. Going to import React from React and export const, and this is going to be create list modal, so react.fc. It's not going to take anything in, and we're going to go ahead and make our arrow function return, and this is going to return the bottomless modal. Inside bottomless modal, we'll have a top bar equal to, and for now we're just going to go ahead and say top bar components and close that out. And then we're also going to have our content equal to, and this is going to be form components. So actually make sure this is a fragment. There we go, and then close that. Then that looks good. Now, the first thing that we need to go and do is we need to make a small update to our bottomless modal CSS, and then we'll go ahead and make it so we can open this guy up. So let's open up our bottomless modal.css, and inside of our bottomless modal.css, we're going to go ahead and turn the z index to 500 because it's not quite high enough. It still kind of renders underneath some of the top bars. And we're also going to go ahead and scroll down here to the box, and then we're going to go ahead and put a z index on this of like 501. Again, just kind of pull that up, and it looks a little bit better because it wasn't rendering over top some of those top bars that are supposed to be in the background. So now that that's fixed, let's go ahead and hop into the modal slice. Now we need to go ahead and configure a way to actually open this. So we're going to go ahead and come below our display edit profile. We're going to go ahead and say display, and this is going to be create list, which is a Boolean, and then we'll start our initial state. So let's come down here. This is going to go ahead and be display and create list. We'll go ahead and start out as false. We need to come down to where we have all our reducers, and we need to go ahead and create the update to create list. So right here. So here we're going to go ahead and say update. Update. If I could spell, that'd be cool. Update display, and this is going to be create list. Take in the state. And let me double check that's all we're taking in here. Cool, looks good. We're going to say state is equal to ... state. And then we're going to go ahead and set display create list is equal to not state dot display. Maybe display create list. Then we'll go ahead and return our updated state. And then we'll come down and export this guy. So down here, we'll go ahead and say update display create list. There we go. And now that is all set up. So now we need to go ahead and update our modal container to actually display this guy. So let's hop into our modal container. Inside our modal container, we're going to go ahead and come down here. Let's go ahead and say const, and this will be display create list is equal to use selector. And then here we'll say state root state, and we'll go ahead and say state dot, and this is going to be modal dot display, and then create list. If I could type, that'd be wonderful. And then all we're going to go and do is just going to go and add this down here. So let's go ahead and just say display create list. And then here we're going to go and say create list modal. Go and bring that in, and that's good to go. So now we have a way to display it whenever this is true. Now we need to go and update our list top bar to actually open this guy up. Let's hop into the list top bar.css, and here let's go ahead. I might already have an open modal here. I do. I just have the to do in it. So let's go ahead and come in here, and we're just going to go ahead and delete this. And what we want to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and dispatch, and we're going to go ahead and dispatch update display create list like so. And we'll also go ahead and dispatch, and we need to update our list state as well. So update list state, and inside our update list state, we're going to pass that an object, and inside the object we'll have property, And this property is going to be create list payload, which we might still have to create. I'm going to double check our slice here. We might still need to create this. And then value is going to be equal to, and inside our value, we'll have step 1. We're going to go ahead and have an image of nothing. We'll go ahead and have a name equal to nothing. We'll go ahead and have a description equal to nothing, and a is private to false, and then finally users equal to an empty array. Now I think that I need to go ahead and create this inside of our list slice. Let's go to the list slice really quick. So this isn't mad anymore. But I do not think we have our create list payload. Let me just scroll up here and see. Yeah, so let me go ahead and find this really quick, and then we'll bring this in. So we'll go ahead and put it up here. It'll be an interface. And in here, we will go ahead and say create list payload. And inside of our create list payload, we'll have a step, which is a number. We're going to go and have an image, which is a string. We'll have a name, which is equal to a string. We'll have a description. Whoops. Maybe. Description, which is a string. We'll have a is private, which is a Boolean. And then finally, we'll have a users, which is a user array. So now we have the payload. Now we just need to bring it in. So if we come down here to our slice state, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it below here. That's probably fine. So it's going to be create list payload. And then here, this is going to be a create list payload or undefined. Whoops, undefined like so. And we'll go ahead and start out our initial state with the same thing. So come down here. This will be our create list payload. And this will start out as undefined. We don't need any special reducers to update this. The only thing we do need to worry about is here inside the update payload. Now this can be a string, or it could be a create list payload, or this can be an undefined. So we need to go and update that update payload as well. So now I think if we hop back into the list top bar, we should be good. So now you can see it's not complaining anymore. That looks a lot better. Now we need to come down and update it so that whenever we click this, we can actually open it. So let's go and look for the on click. So we actually already added it. I don't think we need to do anything else here. So I think this should be good to go. It should go ahead and open up that container. So let's go ahead and hop into the front end and just make sure we can open up that modal really quick, see it. It's not going to look very good, but we should at least be able to see it and everything. So now if we just give this a refresh and we click on this, you can see we have our component here. Obviously, we don't have anything rendering inside of it, but we're going to go ahead and fix that. Let's hop back in the code and get to work here, and we'll get this kind of filled out today. So now we're going to go and hop into the list slice again. We're going to go ahead and set up an async thunk for our create. Once again, we're going to go ahead and come below our update payload, and we're going to create a new interface to create the list. So interface, and this could be create list request. Whoops, list maybe request. Inside, we're going to have a name of type string. We're going to have description again of description of type string. We're going to have a is private. This is going to be a Boolean. We're going to go ahead and have an image of string. Maybe if I could type image string, then we're going to go ahead and have a users, which is a user array. We're going to go ahead and have our creator, which is a user. Then we need our token, which is going to be a string as well. So now we have that. Let's go ahead and set up our async thunk. Let's scroll down to below our pin, and we're going to go ahead and say export const, and this is just going to be create custom list is equal to create async thunk. And let's go and open up these. And here, this is going to be list/create. And then we're going to go ahead and have our async. And in here, we'll have our payload. Payload, which is a create list request. And then we'll also have our thunk API. Let's set up our arrow function, and we'll set up a try and a catch E. And then if we have a catch, we'll just return, return thunk API dot reject with value, and then pass in E. And inside the try, we'll go ahead and say let body equal to, and the name will be payload, payload.name. We'll go ahead and have a description. It'll be payload.description. We'll have our private list, which is payload.isPrivate. And then we will have an image, which is payload.image. We'll have our members, which is payload.users. And then we'll have our creator, which is payload.creator. So I think that should be good. Below our body, we'll say const res is equal to await. And it's going to be axios.post to http / local host 8000 / list /. We're going to pass in that body, and we need to pass in our headers. So we're going to go ahead and say headers. And inside of our headers, we're going to go ahead and say authorization. Authorization, if I could type. And we'll have our backticks, bear, and then $ curly brace, payload.token. That looks good. We'll have our res, and we'll return our res.data. So that should do it for creating it. Let's go ahead and set up our actual reducer for this. Once again, we're not dealing with a failing state. Probably should, but it is what it is. Come down below our pinned list. We're going to say builder.add case, and this is going to go ahead and be create custom list.fulfilled. And then in here, we'll also have our state, action, and fill this out. So now we're going to say state is equal to ... state. And then we're going to have our list. So this is going to go directly into our lists. So we'll go ahead and action.payload ... and then state.list. We're not going to update a suggested or anything. We're going to go ahead and set our create list payload, to undefined. We'll go ahead and return that state. Looks good. And now we don't have to export anything. We should be good to go. So now we can go ahead and start working on the actual modal itself, now that we kind of got all the building blocks set up. So let's go ahead and open up our Explorer. Let's go into our list components, and we're going to go ahead and create a create list top bar. And this is going to be create list modal top bar.tsx. And this one we'll need to create list modal top bar.css as well. And let's see here, I've created it inside your list on accident. Let me go ahead and fix that. What even happened here? Go ahead and delete this as well. Let's try again. So components, create list modal top bar / create list modal top bar.tsx. That's better. And create list modal top bar.css. I believe I spelled everything right. Let's hop in here. So go ahead and import and React from React. And we'll also go ahead and import the /, and this is going to be create list modal and top bar.css. Inside we'll go and export const, close to them, but not quite, export const and create list modal top bar, which is a react.fc and an arrow function. Looks good. Let's go and set up a return really quick. Inside the return, we'll go ahead and just have a div with a class name equal to, and this will be create-list modal top. And maybe that should be top bar, but it is what it is. I'm not going to try to change too much of the stuff I wrote down here because I'll just break everything and be debugging. But now let's go ahead and set up the state. So const, we'll have our create list payload, and this is going to be equal to use selector, and then we'll have our state root state, and go ahead and pass in a state.list. State.list. And we're also going to have a const, and we need our logged in and our token, like so, is equal to, maybe equal to use selector, and then here we'll have state root state, and here this will be state.user, and then finally we'll have a const dispatch, and this will be an app, maybe app dispatch equal to use dispatch, and then that should be good to go as well. So there's our state. Let's first set up a const close modal, and here we'll just go ahead and do an arrow function, and in here we're just going to go ahead and dispatch our update list state, and inside we're going to go ahead and have a value equal to create list, if I could type, payload, and then here we're going to go ahead and set the value, and this should be property, not value. Let's change this. Property we want to update is create list payload, and the value we want to set this at is undefined because we aren't setting it up anymore. And then we'll also want to go ahead and dispatch, or once again, and inside this, we'll go ahead and update display create list. And this one doesn't take anything, so I'll just go ahead and close it. So we will set our update payload to undefined since we're not creating it anymore. And then we'll also go ahead and close out the modal, const generate, and then header text. We have a couple different forms we display. So we're going to go ahead and display or generate a header text here. Return if we have a create list payload question mark, and we have a create list payload dot step equal to 1 question mark. Then we'll go ahead and say create create a new list. Otherwise, it's going to be add to your list. And then otherwise it'll be nothing. So basically, if for some reason our create list payload is undefined at this point, we'll just display an empty string. Otherwise, if we're on step 1, it'll say create new list. Or on step 2, we'll go ahead and add to your list. Next, we're going to say const button active. So we're going to go ahead and determine whether or not we can click the button to go next or create it. We're going to go ahead and first check if we have a create list payload again, because it could be undefined. And then if we are on create list payload dot step equal to 1. I probably could have used like question marks and stuff like that, but it is what it is. Then we're going to go and return our create list payload. Oh my goodness, create list payload dot name is not equal to an empty string. So in step 1, all we need is a name. Otherwise, we'll just return true. You don't have to add any users right away. So that'll be fine. And then if we don't have our create list payload, let's return false. We won't be able to move forward. Again, that should never happen. And then we need to go ahead and update our top bar clicked, or our top button clicked, I should say. Const handle top button clicked equal to, and then let's go ahead and deal with this. So here, if we have our create list payload defined and our create list payload dot step is equal to 1, again, I probably could have combined those, but it is what it is. And I'm going to go ahead and dispatch, and this is just going to be an update list state. And in here, we're going to go ahead and pass in our property. The property is going to be create list payload, payload, and then our value is going to be equal to an object create list payload. And then in here, we're going to go ahead and set the step to 2. And then otherwise, if we're on the second step, so if we have a create list payload defined and our create list payload dot step is equal to 2. If that's the case, then we're going to go ahead and dispatch. We want to go ahead and dispatch our create custom list. We'll do our async thunk, and in here, we'll go ahead and say name is our create list payload dot name. We'll go ahead and say our description. Description is our create list payload dot description. If I could type, that'd be cool. I cannot type. Then we will go ahead and have our is private, which will be our create list payload dot is private. We will need our image, which is create list payload dot image. We will need our users, which is create list payload dot users, and then our creator, creator is logged in, and we need our token. And then after we do this, we want to go ahead and dispatch. Once again, we'll dispatch the update display, create list, and then we'll just pass that. That looks good. I must have spelled creator wrong or something. Is it because creator could be, I might need to also check for logged in and token, and I just skipped that. Let's go ahead and say, and we are logged in, and we have a token. We only want to do it then, and that looks a lot better. So now we just need a couple more things here. Primarily, we need to update what the button says. So const generate, and this is going to be called button text is equal to an arrow function. And then inside here, we'll just return if we have a create list payload, maybe create list payload, question mark, create list payload, and dot step is equal to 1, question mark. This will say next. Otherwise, it'll say done. So let's go ahead and fix that. If I could type properly, done. And then otherwise, it'll just be an empty string again if for some reason we don't have a create list payload at this point, but we should. Now we are ready to go ahead and start setting up this top. To start out, we'll go ahead and have another div with a class name equal to, and this is going to be create dash list modal dash top dash left. Inside the top left, we're going to go ahead and have a close. Actually, we're going to have another div with a class name equal to create dash list dash modal dash top dash close. On click is going to equal to close modal, which will kind of clear out the state and close it. We'll go ahead and have a close icon from Material UI. SX is going to be equal to, and then here our width will be 20px. 20px. Our height will be 20px, and make sure that's put in a string. And I think that should be good on this guy. So let's go ahead and do this. And let's go ahead and let it import for a second so it's not mad at us. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and have an h3, and this is going to have a class name equal to and create dash list dash modal dash top. And then this is going to be our header. Inside our header, we're going to have curly braces, and we're going to go ahead and generate header text. So generate header text and call that string. So looks good. Now we're going to come below our left. And we're going to go ahead and have a button, and let's make sure it's a button. There we go. Button class name equal to backticks, and then curly braces backticks create dash list dash top dash button. This one's going to be a little bit squirrely. $sign curly brace and button active question mark. And then here we're going to go ahead and have a couple options here. Let me scroll over so I can see what the options are. So if it is active, we're going to go ahead and have our create dash list dash modal dash top dash button dash active. And then otherwise we'll have our create dash list dash modal dash button button dash top dash inactive, like so. That should be fine. And then we're going to have a couple more things in this button. So let's come down here. We're going to also go ahead and have an on click on this guy, and on click is going to go ahead and say handle top button clicked. We're also going to go ahead and have it disabled, and this is going to be equal to not, and then button active, like so. If the button's not active, it's going to be disabled basically. And then inside of our button, we're going to go ahead and call the generate button text method or function as well, and then that should be everything. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's make sure we actually call this button active function inside of here so this doesn't matter to us, and I think that is looking good. Now I think we're ready to go ahead and style this bad boy. I'm not sure how much farther we're going to get other than styling it. I think we're just going to basically style this, add it in, make sure it looks good. The next episode we'll get to start creating some of the forms and stuff, that way we don't just get too long here. So with that being said, let's hop into the CSS for this guy. So we'll go ahead and say dot create dash list dash modal dash top to start. Here we'll have a width equal to 100%. We'll go ahead and have a height equal to 53px, and we'll have a padding of 0.16px and a display of flex. We'll have a justify content space between, and we also have an align items in the center. Next we'll have a create dash list dash modal dash top dash left. Here let's make sure we have our dots. And then here, we're going to go ahead and say display flex again, display flex. There we go. We're going to have a justify content in the center. We'll have an align items in the center. We're going to have a gap of 32px. Looks good. Then we'll go ahead and have our top, our create dash list dash modal dash top. And this is going to be our close. And here, we're going to go ahead and have a width of 34px, of a height of 34px, and a display of flex, not Felix, flex, justify content in the center, align items in the center, and we'll go ahead and have a border of none on this one, but a border dash radius, of 100%. We want to be a circle. Then we're going to need our hover. So we're going to go and say dot create dash list modal dash top dash close close colon hover. If I could type, that'd be neat. And this is gonna have a cursor pointer on it. And then we're also gonna have a background dash color. This is gonna be RGBA of 0, 0, 0. And this is gonna go and be 0.1. Next, we can go ahead and say dot create dash list modal top. And here, this one's gonna be our header. So in our header, we're gonna need a margin of 0. We're gonna need a padding of 0. And then we're gonna go want a font dash size. Whoops, font size of 20px. I'm also going to go on a font dash weight. It's going to be of 800. So looks good. So next we'll go ahead and say dot create dash list dash modal dash top. Whoops. Dash top dash button. And our top button will have a height of 32px. We'll go ahead and have a padding of 0 and 16px, which seems a little bit extreme, but it is what is. Border will be none on this. And then we'll have a border dash radius. And the border radius will be about 16px. We'll have a font dash size of 14px. And we'll also go ahead and have font dash weight of about 600. Looks good. Then we'll go ahead and say our dot create dash list modal dash top dash button and our dash active. So our active button is going to have a background dash color of black. And then our color will be white. And then we might also have a couple hovers here, or a hover. Next we'll have our dot create, create dash list modal. I cannot type. Good thing this episode's almost over. Top and button dash active colon hover. So here we'll have our cursor, a pointer, and a background, background dash color RGBA. It's still gonna be black, so 0, 0, 0, 0. We're gonna do 0.8, so it's still gonna be a darker color. Then we'll have our dot create list modal dash top dash button. Make sure we spell button right. And active. Inside of inactive, we're gonna have a background dash maybe color, and this one's gonna be lighter, RGBA. Be 0, 0, 0, and then 0.5. So it's still going to be a gray color, but it's going to be transparent. And the color on this one is going to be RGBA. And this one is going to be 256, 256, 256. So white, point, and then 0.5. So there we go. So that should be the CSS. We have the CSS imported. Now we need to just go into our create list modal and add this into the top bar section. So now let's come into our bottomless modal component inside of our create list modal. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this. And then now this is going to go ahead and be our create list modal top bar. Let's close that out. Let's go and save that up. Let's hop into the front end and see if I broke any of the CSS or anything. Now let's just refresh for the heck of it. Go and click on this guy. Now you can see our next button is not working. So let's see what I might have just typoed button right there or something. So we have our create list modal button. I think I flipped where this is supposed to be. Let's hop into the component. So create list modal. This should be top button, not button top. So top and then dash button dash inactive. Of course, we don't have anything inside of the form right now, so we're not going to be able to activate it. So let's take a look again. And the radius is not working, so I might have typoed something else as well, or I typoed border radius. Let's double check our border radius here. So border radius is on there. Create list modal top button. That looks like it's correct. Let's see if I typoed something inside of the component, I guess, because it does have a border radius and it does look like it's spelled properly. I'm going to actually copy this real quick. Now we'll go back in there. So create list. I forgot the modal. So we'll go ahead and just paste this in. So this is why we test this stuff, because sometimes I typo or forget things inside the CSS. So let's take a look one more time. It should be good now. There we go. It looks a lot better. We should be able to close it. That looks good. Obviously, we can't click next yet because it's disabled. So that's going to go ahead and do it. We're getting a little bit long here. If you did enjoy, please like, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps out here with the YouTube algorithm. And if you guys do want to see where we start from absolute scratch to get to the point right now, there's going to be a place on the end card on one of these directions. I can't ever remember which way to point. But with that being said, y'all, hope you have a great day. This has been Ethan, our unknown coder, and I'll see you all in the next video.